done a vlog or a video or anything, but we got this pandemic going, and basically got one more day I'm gonna work, and then I'm gonna voluntarily put myself in lockdown. I'll be between home and the shop, but which is just a glorified storage I have. But when I say I'm gonna isolate myself, it sounds funny because I'm gonna be going back and forth from the shop, but there's less people over at the complex where my shop is than there is where I'm gonna be at home. I don't have anybody I live with, but I live in a place that there's a lot of people close by. So I'm basically gonna be trying to work on stuff at my shop, things I haven't had time to get done because of work. Had a lot of work this season in a short period of time. My work is seasonal and came on a little late this season and is being cut short about a month and a half early, and because of this corona thing, it's a lot of people worried about getting back to Canada and British Columbia, I think it's the same thing, from the States here. So, not to mention their families are worried about them being out this way. Everybody should be as close to home as they can, if not just at home and staying. But so I've kind of I'm prepared for it more than maybe a lot of people. I took it a little more seriously than a lot of people. Not necessarily panicking, but just being realistic about what this is going to involve. I know from statistics and all the research I've done is about every place that's gotten more than 20 or 30 cases, those cases have doubled, tripled, and quadrupled literally within a matter of days. The places that only have like 3 or 4 cases that are actually confirmed, you know, it kind of lingers a bit in the single digits until about, it seems, 14 to 15 cases, and then it seems like the following couple days after that it's 30 cases, and then it seems like a couple more days it's 90, and then next thing you know it's like 400 or 500. So as of today, where we're at now, I think we're at that 400 or 500 in Riverside County alone. Actually, I don't think it's that much in Riverside County. Could be wrong. But I've been checking my temperature every morning and every night just to see. I get a lot of migraines, so I end up having kind of fluctuating temperatures anyways. I actually run on the lower side, but if you can get a hold of a non-oral thermometer, I've got one that I got from my aunt that actually touches the side of your temple. That's the way to go, because if you happen to be carrying it with you and you needed it to check somebody else's temperature just in case, at least you're not putting yourself in too much risk. You don't have to sanitize anything too ridiculously to reuse it. So I've got supplies I carry with me in my work truck. I got supplies in a Jeep I've got and I've got supplies in a Mad Max car that's like a post-apocalyptic Mad Max car for, you know, a strictly supposed to be fun, entertaining event that's for exhibition purposes, but it happens to be street legal, so I'm actually getting it all fixed up to actually be a practical, I guess, pandemic, a post-apocalyptic vehicle. It's going to be a post-pandemic vehicle anyways, because after the pandemic's over, I'm not going to try and put those words together ever again. I figure I might as well use it because I'm not worried about anybody crashing into it, and if somebody wants to block me in to steal my stuff, they're going to be in for a big surprise, because it is fortified and modified, and at that point would be justified to get myself out of danger. So not necessarily planning for the worst, but you can only be optimistic for so long when things start creeping up. A lot of tensions are high. A lot of people have anxiety. Oddly enough, there's a lot more people tailgating and honking their horns and cutting people off right now than there was before, and that's saying something, because the town I live in it's kind of like the FBI around here. It's just a fucking bunch of idiots, to say the least. But yeah, I would think people would be a little bit less enthused to cause an issue. One is, you start driving crazy, and let me tell you, I might not know a whole lot about being safe. I mean, I do know about being safe, but I drive kind of silly and crazy and fast. But I'm actually driving more careful and more considerate now, because it's not like I'm worried about, somebody's gonna jump out and want to kick my ass. No, I'm worried about somebody jumping out and yelling at me and accidentally spitting on me or yelling in my face. I'm not worried about getting my ass kicked. I'm worried about getting infected. Not even getting infected myself, but I have family and I have friends in town, and if I might be one of the rare people who doesn't really succumb to the virus in the worst possible way, I might just get it like a flu and be able to get rid of it, but once I have it, I can hand it off to somebody else without even knowing it. And the main thing about this stuff is people aren't taking it seriously because they're not seeing it yet. But I tell you what, I got a little postcard in the mail for this whole event that's going on, and it's telling everybody what to do and where to do it, and where not to do it. So it's not just about you, it's about somebody that you could come in contact with that's not as capable of fighting off a virus like this, whether it's just a cold or a flu. A cold or a flu can kill people, if they're in a bad way already. So if it comes down to it, you don't know if you have it until you know you have it. It's kind of like winning the lottery, and we already all bought a ticket. And each time you're outside and you come in contact with somebody, you come in contact with something that came in contact with somebody. That's like you buying a ticket. Every time you touch a door handle, every time you get in a car, every time you get out of a restaurant, a place of business, somebody's house, when you touch a door handle, a doorknob that you can't turn around and push open from behind, which is what I try and do for the most part, whenever I can, I wear long sleeve shirt that's longer than it even needs to be, and I put the end of the sleeve around my hand, so if I need to grab a door handle, I don't grab it with my hand, I grab it with cloth. So if you're trying to act like, oh well, I don't have to worry about it, I'm not gonna get it, you know, you might have it already and you don't know it. And like I said, my little analogy with lottery tickets, every time you touch something, every time you come near somebody, every time you even pick up food from your own refrigerator, that food, if it came from a grocery store, I don't care if it came from Amazon, somebody touched it at some point in time before you touched it. And unless you sanitize every single thing in your fridge, which I got a can of Lysol and I've sprayed it in the fridge this morning because I didn't think of this at the beginning. I just thought of it this morning. And everything that somebody's touched is going to get touched by somebody else until the end user, until it goes into a trash bag and gets thrown away. That's where you're at. You've got to protect yourself. These are things we should be doing already. This is things that let the rhinovirus spread, just a common cold, whatever virus. But we got to step it up a little bit, and we don't have to just step it up for ourselves so we don't get sick and miss a couple days of work or miss a really good couple days off or screw up our vacation. We need to work this problem by keeping ourselves out of the way of the problem, which is maybe staying away from work. Tomorrow's going to be, I got 2 or 3 parts that came in today. I'm going to go pick up and go put on. And tomorrow, for all intents and purposes, is my last day of work for probably about 2 weeks. And I'm going to hunker down. I'm probably going to make some videos for once in a long time. I got probably 5 or 6 vehicles. Yeah, I got problems. That I'm going to be taking and repairing, fixing, doing the maintenance on. I noticed gas prices are dropping now. I bet you motor oil and transmission fluid and all the other stuff that you could do to your vehicle to keep it healthy is going to be the next in the domino effect of people and places being able to send their money elsewhere, because there's places you're not going to be able to spend it at all. You're not going to be able to buy stuff that, you know, you're not going to be going to get a tattoo, I hope, and or buy any fancy clothes, or you know, go into an off-road shop just to buy a bunch of flags and gas cans for your desert trip. I mean, of all the places I guess to go, out in the middle of the desert would be great because of the environment. But if you've thought of it, trust me, other people have thought of it too. I've seen more motorcycle groups riding around. I mean, I'm literally sitting next to the road talking to somebody on the phone. I roll my windows up because there's like 20, 30 Harley Davidsons driving by. And I'm like, this is the middle of the week in the middle of the day. And I'm like, oh, these people aren't at work. They're jumping out on their bikes and going for a ride. Which, okay, that's okay. Just make sure that everything that you come in contact with, if you don't know where it's been, then, you know, clean your hands. I got one of these in every one of my cars. And I've got bigger containers of it that I've gotten at auctions that I got in my cars. I got an ambulance next to my shop. It's totally fortified. It's got oxygen, a full oxygen tank in it. It's got a respirator in it. It's got all kinds of sanitizing supplies in it. It just happens to be a vehicle I got at an auction. But am I cleaning my hands every time I go in and out of it? Yes. I clean my hands. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it right now because, you know, I touched my door handle on my truck and I touched my steering wheel, and I mean, it's just you can't be too careful when it comes to this. Nobody's been paranoid about just being safe. Yeah, there's people that are freaking out, thinking, oh, this is this is because of the 5G network. The phone signal's too strong. It's the corona beer virus, and it's whatever. There's actually people believe that. That's I can't even joke about it though. Most of my stuff is really lighthearted, and I try and joke even though I don't have the best sense of humor. I mean, I think I have a good sense of humor, but whether my stuff is funny or not, that's to be determined by the viewer. I say a lot of stupid stuff, and sometimes it's tragic, and sometimes it's just dry, and sometimes I luck out and something's really funny. But this isn't funny. There's a bunch of things that aren't funny about it. This is going to have so many domino effect type things happening. One of the things I was going to do, and I'm still thinking of doing it, and I might touch base on it now, is a lot of the supplies that we're trying to get and buy, we're buying more of them than we need. And we're in a situation where the time frame that we have to work with to get things they're not going to shut down the grocery stores and the fast food places that have a drive-through right away. They might. In Florida, the district employees and stuff are the only ones that had electricity for a while there, because the people in the power of for the utilities for some reason shut off water and power for a little while for some reason. I don't know why that was, but I saw it on the internet. That's ridiculous. We don't have any reason for generators to be shut down. I still see the roads getting fixed. There's potholes in this town. This town is a pothole. It's a repaired pothole. And I don't mean that in a way like the people so much, even though I say there's a lot of jackasses in this town. But they're fixing the roads on a regular basis. So right there gives me the impression that anything that has to do with city working, county affiliated utilities, all that, we're still going to have that. We're going to have water. This isn't poison the groundwater. This isn't affecting our means of electricity. Now it is affecting the internet for a lot of people, because it's almost like after there's an earthquake, the phones get all blocked up because people are just calling, hey, did you feel that? Did you feel that? It's California, and people still freak out a little bit when we get an earthquake. Not so much as if you got an earthquake in like Connecticut, but there's a lot of things that we're going to have to just buckle down and deal with. But, buying a freaking truckload of toilet paper and buying all the face masks and the rubber gloves and all the hand cleaner, I mean, really, I got a feeling that in about 6 or 7 months, and I don't know how long this is going to take to get over with, but I got a feeling when this is all said and done, kids start going back to school that are in grade school, there's going to be teachers in art classes that are going to get sick of seeing products made out of toilet paper, paper mache, and that's about as funny as I'm going to get here. There's going to be people trying to run their cars off of hand sanitizer, because there's going to be people that are going to have so much of these products that we just got. You're going to be able to mask off your car with face masks and paper towels. It's going to be coming out of your freaking ears. So that being said, we're going to be going through a lot of disposable products. People are going to see that their dish soap is got, it's a hand sanitizer, it's antibacterial. So they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to use my hand soap. I don't want to use my dish soap on dishes. I'll just buy paper plates and plastic forks and Dixie cups, and it'll be an excuse for me not to have to do dishes. I mean, granted, people have dishwashers. The detergent that you get to use on the dishes in a dishwasher, I don't think anybody's going to resort to using that to wash their hands, though that is a viable option. But That being said, people are going to be using and disposing of a lot of disposable one-use products. I'm going to do a little thing on, long before this all started happening, there was this thing in the oceans that we're having a problem with, and I'm not like a Greenpeace guy or whatever, but I seen this thing on sea turtles where they're finding them out in the ocean floundering around, not only in nets and, like the plastic 6-pack can and bottle things that hold, I don't know what they call that hold the 6-packs of soda and drinks, but sea animals are getting stuck in them. Well, the next thing that's been happening is plastic forks and plastic spoons. They I guess the main source of food for sea turtle, which I didn't know this, are jellyfish. And jellyfish kind of hover around, basically like jellyfish. And so turtles come up under them and chomp them, and it doesn't bother them. I guess they're impervious to the poison or whatever. They're their main staple diet. So a trash bag floating in the ocean, which it's crazy that it's legal to dump trash from seagoing vessels at so many miles out. I don't know if it still is, but I remember it used to be. If you've got a bag of trash floating in the ocean, and especially these clear type bags, but if it's a white bag or anything opaque, a turtle's going to think it's a jellyfish, go up and grab a hold of it, and whatever's in the trash bag, they get a bite of. Now, if it's not something actually viable for them, or maybe it tastes bad or something, I guess they spit it out. But if they ingest it and it doesn't work with their insides, they have to throw it up or crap it out. Unfortunately, the plastic forks and the plastic spoons, along with straws, they go in, they get kind of spun around, and then they go to come back out. Well, the straws kind of fold up into pieces, and when they try and cough them up, they get caught in their nose and their sinus passages. And you'd think that's bad. If you ever get a chance, look up the videos of them finding sea turtles that have a plastic fork or a spoon that had gone in with the handle first, or the other way around, went in and at some point got turned around. Basically, it's trying to come back up through their nasal passages. The handle first. So you got the fork like this, and you got the handle like that, okay? So they swallow it. They have to cough it back up because they're not going to digest it. And the handle goes out the nostril, and the fork or the spoon end gets stuck. And yeah, plastic knives, it happens too. But I'm going to do a little video on this. But the one thing I thought of that could help, possibly, to keep this thing from literally harpooning its way up into the nasal passages and getting stuck. Because if you see the video, they have to pull the thing from the handle. They can't just stick your hand in the mouth of a sea turtle. It'll snap your freaking hand off. And they can't intubate and sedate every turtle. I mean, these are ocean-going animals. It'd probably take 6 or 7 people to catch one, flip it over, put it on whatever life support or whatever they do when they give an animal an anesthesia to do some type of field surgery or ocean surgery, I guess. It's just not realistic to be able to do that to every animal to save them. But they have to pull these things out from their nose. It's bad news. It's bad news. So if you're ever thinking about it and you happen to be using a plastic fork or plastic spoon or even a plastic knife, they're out there. People are going to use them. It's not like I'm saying I'm expecting everybody to throw away the plastic forks and knives. It's stupid, because guess what? They're going to go in the trash and do the same thing that we're talking about. What I'm saying is, if I had one here, I don't know if I have one handy, because I do use them myself. It's hard for me to be in the business I'm in, and let's see. Now I'll just have to do like a little tutorial thing on it, but basically, if you grab them by the if you grab the hell if you grab the fork and or spoon by its handle as close as you can to where the actual spoon, the utensil end is, and I don't care if you wrap them in a paper towel that you're done with or a paper plate. More than likely, if you're using paper plates, you're using plastic forks and knives, and vice versa. If you're using plastic forks and knives and spoons, you're using paper plates and paper cups. Break it in half. Break the end off of it. That way, if they happen to ingest the spoon part or the fork part, the part you use to eat, if the other end isn't on there, if that's gone, at least it has a chance to come back out the same way it went in without literally harpooning and directing itself towards a smaller source of exit, which would be a sinus cavity. It's going to probably go up there. It'll, you know what I mean? It's not an obvious thing. But the only reason I thought of it, because when I was in school, when I was a kid, when we started getting plastic forks and knives and spoons for lunchtime, I learned the trick, because I'm a goof, that if you take the fork or the spoon, because we used to do this pencil fighting thing where we'd try to break each other's pencil. It's, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's going to sound stupid. If you know what I'm talking about, go, oh yeah, I remember that. We used to do pencil fights. But the other thing I used to do is I would take the spoon or the fork and I would bend it, and when it would break, the piece that was in the middle of like the break sometimes would go flying. So you actually hit somebody from across the room. I mean, good idea, huh? So along with getting people to cough milk out of their nose and breaking their pencils and flicking stuff during food fights, I just remembered breaking the spoons for some reason. And I thought, you know, if all you've got left of the spoon is the spoon part or the handle, if you break that, then it's probably going to be a lot easier to get to come back out, because when you've got something like this, and if you were to drop this into a screen or a net, what's the first thing that's going to pop through one of the holes in the net? It's going to be the pointy part. This part's going to catch it. So if you were to take that and break that off, and all you have is this fob piece, and then you've got the shaft or whatever, you think about it, this fob piece is just going to stay, if the holes of the net are just the right size for something like this to go through, or a little bigger, but not big enough for this to go through, this is just going to sit on the surface and this is going to fall through. So if they do happen to have to cough up something, and it happens to go through their nostrils, this piece should be able to get, either find its way all the way out, or at least a rescuer can reach down in the water and pull it from the nose of the animal without bringing the animal onto the boat. And like I said, you have to watch the videos. It's hard to explain. And just to feel the complete gravity of it, you really have to see it. But if this other piece were to start to follow its way up through the esophagus, it would probably just end up coming out the mouth. There's no reason something like this round would just find its way up and out unless it had a guide, which is this part. And as soon as I get some time, I'm going to make a video of what I do. Just whatever you're using when you're eating, wrap the thing that you're eating up and throw it away like you normally would. And the forks and knives, if you put them in a paper towel or a paper plate, or even if you have a paper cup, just fold it over it and break it, because there will be a piece that flies out. So I don't want you twisting these things towards your face going, oh, let's see if this works. You will poke an eye out. So it's kind of a dangerous thing, but it's not as dangerous to us as it is to turtles. So, and that's the reason I'm bringing this up, is because this virus that we've got right now, there's people buying tons and tons of disposable products. If you go into any store, You can walk down an aisle and see chips and salsa and condiments all day long. Next aisle is supposed to be paper towels, paper plates, plastic bags, hand sanitizer, anything disposable. Gone. And the companies that produce these products are probably making $1 million every moment we're speaking here. And there's no reason for them to turn it away, and there's no reason for us to throw the product away we already bought. If people are going to use it, if there's any way possible to reduce the impact on what that product does after we're done using it for a single-use product, and I'm not putting it so far as to not even maybe throw them away right away. Some of the plastic utensils they've got now are pretty darn robust. I mean, they're not this flimsy, rubbery plastic that you used to get in the... I think that's while they turned the plastic that they used to have in the first plastic forks and knives when I remember in school. We ended up getting these ones that were like rubbery and plasticky, just like those, remember those combs that you used to get before you go get your pictures taken for class pictures? And I remember the first combs they used to give you, you could snap those things in half. And then after a while, you'd be sitting in line there bored. You couldn't even get that thing broken by the time it was time for you to use it to get ready to get a picture taken. I got a feeling it's people like me that caused those rigid fracture I said it backwards. They went from the soft the hard plastic that you could break and shoot somebody across the room with this projectile of food product shrapnel to this rubbery thing you can't even break. It's probably my fault. Anyways, I wanted to give a shout out to Chuck over there at Panther Platforms for giving me shout outs a lot of times. I noticed he did a video collaboration. He got a hold of me via YouTube, and I emailed for one of the first times because I just don't do that whole technology thing. I made sure and figured out how to do it, and I sent him an email on pros and cons of the Crown Victoria Panther Platform products. And him and another guy did a collaboration, kind of. They both did their own videos, but they kind of shouted out each other on it. But I'm going to be doing some work on my Panther platform vehicles, because I've got several of them, and one of them is a Mad Max car, and I've got another one that's for sale. I got several cars for sale, but I have like 4. That's ridiculous. I don't remember how many vehicles I have, but it's 33.